Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original presented by Prize Picks. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. Also, check out the Right Time YouTube channel. Lots of YouTube exclusive content there for you. It is that time of week where we have a guest join us, coming to us live from Yahoo Sports. Nate Tice, what's going on, man?
Not too much. I'm just enjoying from some actually not hell heat weather right now. There's seasons here, so it's nice. Nice. I actually get to enjoy the next month before then I freeze. It's either you burn here or you freeze.
Oh, Las Vegas is just 2 options. It's just burn or freeze.
It's 2 options: burn up or freeze. But I prefer it because of Minnesota, it's like even colder, and then the heat is like humid. So, you know, the dry heat stuff is actually really real. God, I just sound like a 35-year-old white guy talking weather. Just how I'm going to start off.
Dude, I would love to talk weather because I don't know what the weather is anywhere else. I just know this. I live in New York City. It is November the 19th as we tape this. I've worn a jacket one time.
That's crazy.
I've had a hoodie, perhaps, whatever, but I have worn a jacket one time.
You know, they're saying there's too many rule changes to help the offense in the NFL. Do you think climate change is one of those now?
It's a fair point, right?
Hey, throwing the ball, you can throw the ball in November now. I watched New England play this weekend. They played the Rams. All those Rams guys were in short sleeves in New England in November. Don't usually see that. Usually see that after Halloween, watching some of those AFC East games.
It's interesting you say that, though, because I've always talked about this on this show, and I don't know why more people have not gone to this, I don't mean to feel like a Luddite when it comes to attitudes about passing in the NFL, right? However, I have thought that the dorks got too much control, and they got these spreadsheets, they give you these numbers, and they tell you all these things. But one thing they don't seem to account for is the game that you can play in September is not the same game as the one that you can play in January in about half the stadiums of the league now, right? A lot of people got rules over their joints, so it's changed the game up a little bit, but the Packers were always my example, where they've spent the last 30 years building offenses around quarterbacks, hoping that they get home field advantage where the football is like a brick. And we saw for the last half of Brett Favre's career and Aaron Rodgers, not so great in home playoff games because your home is not built for this. September football and January football are not the same kind of football. But right now, November football feels a lot like October football used to feel.
I know. So what does that mean for January football? Now we're going to get some just temperate weather. You can handle that kind of Denver 44 degrees with no wind. That's way different than 8 degrees, 30-mile-an-hour winds. It's funny you say the Packers thing, though. The Packers truly have size thresholds for every position. Strict, and they came up with this with Ron Wolf, and they've stuck to it. They won't draft a receiver under 195 pounds. They won't draft a quarterback under 220, I think it is. But every position that they have has a size threshold, and it's because of cold weather. Because they've done studies that smaller guys get hurt more, which that makes sense in physics. But then they say cold weather also impacts size and speed and everything. So you just want the bigger guys. Hey, if it's cold and that speed gets neutralized, well, let's have a size advantage. Because then, if we're going to have all these NFL athletes, you lose that 10%, we still have that size. So there's actually something to that. Even watching last year, the Chiefs and Dolphins playoff game, watch Mahomes just act like it's another day, throwing the ball, and Tua can't even complete a ball outside the numbers because he can't push it. That's where cold weather and traits matter. That's what people. It's such a good point, though. It's the weather isn't just always the same for football. That's why running the ball matters and all this stuff. All these old adages that we talk about. So, but having said that, I think we're going to get some juicy passing numbers in November, maybe mid-December that we're not used to when some of these outdoor games kind of feel like a dome game in some of the places that we're not expecting.
Well, interesting, in line with what you were saying about cold weather, it got me thinking about Buffalo, where they typically have those little scatty guys running around, right? They tend to have one or two of those, or even if it isn't exactly that archetype, Cole Beasley is not a scat back type, but still a smaller sort of dude. Because, you can get little for cheap, right? You can get the discount on the speed by going little. Okay, cool. But at quarterback, they went and got the Jolly Green Giant.
Right. And Packers have Jordan Love, big boy. I mean, now the Patriots got Drake May, big guy. Like these guys that are out there. I mean, shoot, even looking at back with the Steelers, Big Ben, big gigantic quarterback, Flacco, and then Lamar. Lamar is bigger than people realize. I know he fluctuates his weight, but I mean, he's 6'2", carries 215, but he's not 195 running out there and all those things. But that it absolutely matters for that stuff. I mean, shoot, you just go one by one through all the stuff and what they have to throw through. That's the other thing with Brady too that people underrate. People go, oh, he's a 6th round pick, anybody can be a great quarterback. It's just about the heart and the mental makeup. Brady was 6'5", 230 with a very good arm. Right. Those traits matter when it comes up to all this weather stuff, especially when you just got to chuck it and cut through the wind and push the ball through the wind and shrug up when you're wearing big bulky gear, shrugging off guys and be able to still throw and stuff. So yeah, no, it's a very real thing. It's something I'm a big believer in. I'll knock other quarterbacks because I feel like unless you have a certain gift, like a speed or something like that, or something to exempt you from that. Like Kyler Murray could toss the ball really far. Russell Wilson could throw the ball far and has good arms. They can run around a little bit. They don't take shots too much. Yeah, that mitigates it a little bit, but it's like you have to have that if you're going to go under, even shoot 215 at QB or 210.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson is sturdy. He's just not tall, right? And he's got the big giant hands.
Yes. We played together. We did our hands. I'm 9. I don't have giant hands. I mean, 9 1/4 is not bad. 9 1/8. He had 10 1/4. So I'm 6 inches taller than Russ. His hands are an inch bigger than mine, which is just absurd. And people don't realize that with him until you shake his hand and all that. Like some of these guys got just monster mitts. And actually that's what the NFL ball helps out with. NFL ball is actually easier to throw, especially if you have bigger than a college ball.
It's longer, right?
Longer and skinnier.
It doesn't have like that big bump in the middle.
Yep. There's not. Yeah. And if college ball is more of a true like an egg, like just that. Well, this one like more rugby-ish, I guess. And this one, is more just spread out. And so but when you have big hands, easier to grip, and those things are tacked up. So it's just easier to grip, easier to pump fake. Like I could throw an NFL ball way better than a college ball. But all these guys with bigger hands, it's even more of an advantage because that ball just sticks with them and they can just do the crazier things with them. So again, size matters. Don't want to fool you otherwise. Size does matter.
Let me tell you, I think that's a good intro to talk about the Steelers and what's going on with them. How good do you think they are? Because the issue they've had for the last however many years, including the end of the Roethlisberger era, is they didn't have a quarterback. Right. They seem to have a whole lot of everything else, but they did not have a quarterback. I don't know how much of a quarterback they have right now, but they still seem like they might be as good as anybody else in that conference is.
Yeah, because the defense is great. And the defense can do, one, just like what we're talking about, and being big and stopping the run, which, again, like that adage is really true in playoff time, like stopping the run and running the ball. Maybe not regular season, but playoff time. They can stop the ball through the air. Joey Porter Jr. is very good. Minka Fitzpatrick is a star. Like I love Fitzpatrick. He's one of my favorite players in the league. They're big up front, but on the offensive side, the run game's really cooking now. Like Zach Frazier, their center, their rookie center, is really good. Like going to be a future All-Pro. I'll go on the record of saying that. Maybe not this year, but in the future. And then Mason McCormick, who's another rookie guard, are really kind of, and Isaac Sumalo, their left guard. They're really got an attitude now, and it's really they're getting the rhythm. Najee Harris isn't my favorite back in the world. He's a big guy, sometimes stops his feet, but he's been running harder. And so the run game now is at least above average to good. And then Russ is just right now at quarterback. It's not all great. Like I'm watching it. It's like, it's not a consistent passing attack. The one good thing is that's not the design, or it's not the intent of this offense. It's not the philosophy of this offense is kind of like how the Commanders game went for the Steelers. All right, Russ, you just got to hit 2 or 3 of these. You got to hit the moon ball to Pickens, the moon ball to Mike Williams, and hit one more big 20, 30-yard gain, and we're good. You don't have to hit 4 or 5-yard gains. Just hit the 130-yarder. So, I think it's just he's a dice roll for them. He's not going to have to carry them in carry the offense. Don't have to create. I think for him is just no negative plays, no picks, no 14-yard sacks. Just take all the simple plays. I don't think they're a true contender, but I do think they're a playoff team that can win a playoff game. I don't think you want to play them because just their defense and the run game are going to give a lot of teams fits if they can't stop that. So I just think the quarterback play is it's middling, but at least they can hit some high variance plays once in a while.
How much would you pay to listen to a conversation between Russell Wilson and George Pickens?
Oh my goodness. A lot.
Like
we didn't have any psychos at Wisconsin, so I didn't get to hear any Russ interacting with those types. So I know.
like George Pickens, we will spend until the day he stops playing being like, but why did you do that? Right? Like it'll be how did you do this? But why did you do that?
Right. He's always just listening to the little devil on his shoulder. I've been trying to think of who he reminds me of. There's got to be someone from the late 90s, early 2000s when that run of receivers that hit the league. It's like he's like a mix of like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of some bruiser back in the day that was like, who's the guy that was married to Lisa Left Eye Lopez?
Andre Rison.
He's like a mix between Andre Rison and Freddie Mitchell.
Yeah, well, see, like the thing about him though was that Pickens just does things that are just like, I can't believe you did that. But with Rison, except for the time that he and Deion swung it out on the field, like he might complain that he wasn't getting the ball or anything like that, right? But like of that run of receivers you talk about, what I don't recall ever thinking about them is what's on their minds. I knew what was on their minds. Give them the ball or don't. Pickens does things where I'm just like, I don't understand what you're doing. I guess Randy every now and then would give you what are you doing? Why did
he's not elbow dropping people.
Yeah, right, exactly. An interception was thrown, and instead of going for the ball, you went for some other dude.
One of my favorite plays of the year. Just took it as an excuse to just start. And then he he did the classic like Big Brother move, like you're on the ground and then just like started talking to him. It looked like a zombie eating someone else's face. Like that's what it looked like what he was doing on film and everything. Randy was just spraying water balls at refs. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
So he sprayed the water ball at a ref like that.
Every now and then he just didn't feel like playing that much football.
Hey, he just ran 5 go balls in a row. I'm going to take a couple plays off.
Yo, so that is a thing I think that was underrated about the whole Randy Moss in effort sort of thing or everything else is, hey, man, running 40 yards down the field will win you.
It does. And then getting hit once will win you even more. Well, that's what Randy, my dad kind of got some of Randy's like love because he understood that and kind of went like, hey, Randy runs more than anybody. You know, like it would be selfish of me to expect him to do it every play. You know, but he kind of was like, hey, all right, Randy, like I'm going to give you the one, like, but you got to give me the next 7, you know? So, and then they had another guy, Kelly Campbell. If you remember that name, that guy ran like a 4.18. So they would have Randy and Kelly. And so it's like, okay, give Randy a spell. Kelly, you go run. That'll give us the deep threat on this play. Randy run our screen or something like that. But yeah, his stuff was all just like the effort stuff or maybe some off-field stuff. It wasn't just like elbow dropping guys, tackling guys, pinning guys on the backside as a block and like giving them a rock bottom. Like Pickens is doing some every week that it's just like former players are all shaking their head going like, I don't know, man. Like I haven't seen this type of stuff in a while.
Well, let me ask you this about the Steelers and I guess with Tomlin in particular, where I feel like Tomlin is maybe the highest floor guy in the league. The Steelers also haven't won a playoff game since Obama was the president. But again, I don't know how much of that is about the coach because they've had some real quarterback issues in the majority of that time period. But this feels like a year where I've been like, oh, he's really out here cooking. Like not just they win the games they're supposed to win, right? This one seems to be clearly exceeding the talent they've got.
Yes. The years before, it was like, wow, it's crazy that they can go toe-to-toe with the best ones, but then they lose against some team that hasn't won a game. You know, that's kind of Tomlin's thing is he would get up for the big games and then they kind of drop off against the lesser teams. This team feels more good, like as opposed to, yeah, it's good for Tomlin. He's going to get the 9 wins. Ha, 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 ha. This is like, oh, no, this is actually could win a playoff game because again, having good players helps. Like, I mean, they signed Patrick Queen. They got young guys stepping up. I already mentioned Joey Porter Jr., but Keanu Benton. They got other guys who are on their front that are really good. But the game plans have been really good on defense. Like playing against that Commanders game really impressed me. Even though the final score was only a 1-point win, it should have been more. They ran a fake punt that the gunner dropped that would have been a touchdown. It set up a short field for the Commanders. They scored. But the game plan they had for Jaden Daniels is like they put it on tape. This is what other teams are going to start copying. They really took it to him. Like whenever he did a read play, there's TJ Watt screaming at the quarterback, so Jane Daniels has to hand it off. Like they really corralled him and contained him. So it's not just like an attitude thing, like where it's like, oh, we're tough and we're big and we're going to punch you in the face. It's like, oh no, they're playing smart, which, Tomlin has done, but sometimes it was always like, all right, as soon as they face anyone talented, they're going to get caught. But now they have dudes. So they don't have those weaknesses that they had before. Now they actually have some decent linebacker play. They actually have a corner who can go toe to toe with some talented guys and Joey Porter Jr. So like they have better, weapons to throw at guys. And that's the strength of the team. And then on offense, I just don't think they're trying to hide anything about what they are. They're gonna like, yeah, 4 yards is good for us. But again, that you look at the AFC, that's as good of argument as anybody that comes out there. Maybe not the Bills or the Chiefs, but the rest of the teams in the AFC, like that, they're gonna have a fighting chance against anyone. Like, which is again, that's gonna be a huge thing, especially if they win the division and host a game. Then they're going into Pittsburgh, and that's a whole nother thing. This isn't them getting the 7 seed and then playing the Chiefs on the road as a 2 seed like it's been in the past. This is a different feel for them.
All right. And I was thinking the AFC, but jumping the time machine right fast. I remember in the year 2011, where the 49ers got a first round bye and they won their division. And it was the first year Harbaugh was there. And I don't think many of us were actually watching their games, in large part because their quarterback was Alex Smith. We had watched them be mediocre for an extended period of time. And then I remember they played that game against the Saints. And that was the game where Daunte Whitner went and knocked Pierre Thomas out cold on the goal line. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. These boys out here playing football. Like, I felt like the whole year had gone by and we didn't really understand what was going on with that. And I mean, people who pay more attention obviously were, but I was not hip to game until then. I wonder how many more people were like me, and if that's happening again with Harbaugh this year with the Chargers. Because the Chargers defense, if you just look at the point total, you're like, oh, okay, so they're better than everybody else. And then it's the Harbaugh plus Justin Herbert factor. Like, I feel like they have a team that might be as good as anybody else in that conference without us thinking about it, in large part because they ain't got no fans.
Then even the Monday night game, it was, you could even hear the commentators kind of going like, wow, this is most pro LA crowd we've heard in a while. And they're going against the Bengals, who travel well. Like all those old school teams travel so well, especially when, well, maybe the weather's not getting cold. So maybe that's why they're traveling well to not traveling as much to LA. But no, but it's, I think Harbaugh's magic is, let me just build a whole team of guys that like football and then have a superstar quarterback. And then this is great. I know you said the Alex Smith thing, but then, Kaepernick, but then in college it was Andrew Luck. Even when he was at San Diego, he had Josh Johnson, last year in Michigan, JJ McCarthy and stuff. But it's very real. The defense, statistically, you mentioned the point stuff, even the underlying stats like success rate and EPA and all those fun stats, they've been sitting up there 1, 2, or 3 in everything. And kind of one of those things, they haven't played a ton of great quarterbacks. They played Burrow, and they were, they got caught. You're always going to get caught against these good offenses, but they make it tough on everybody. Like Jesse Minter, the defense coordinator, is very real. I had heard about him a lot in college, watched Michigan last year a ton, studied him, was like watching what he did to Jalen Milroe in the college football playoff and then Penix in the final. Like those are real performances and real good game plans that he was able to whip out there. And that's what they're doing again. And then you got a dude at quarterback in Herbert, which is, I mean, have you seen the clips of him and Harbaugh? Like Harbaugh is just like hyping him up and pumping him up and just like speaking to him. And you could see Herbert kind of like buying in, and it's really cool. I mean, he's throwing S-tier balls of Will Dissly. It's a mindset thing these guys have, but this isn't smoke and mirrors. They're playing above their weight. They're punching above their weight. But I do think that it's much more real because they're building up. Guys like Ladd McConkey are stepping up. The offensive line's healthy and getting there. The defense, Khalil Mack was out, but the defense has a lot more good players than you realize. Poona Ford, Tier Tart, Joey Bosa. They got some other Hanley, the linebackers stepping up. So it's not, I do think it's somewhere in the middle. Do I think they're the best defense in the league? No, but I do think it's a top 5 defense with Justin Herbert. So like they're not sneaking up on anybody. Like this is a hard out in the playoffs because again, this is what you need. You need a defense and you need a quarterback. If you don't have a run game, this is going to work out okay, and they're going to commit to the run. So I think just kind of getting to your question, like, I don't think they are a sneaky team. Like, this is more real and like more than like what it was maybe that first year with the 49ers.
Yeah, and I'll say, by the way, Kaepernick was a dude. Like, he held on with Alex Smith until he didn't have to anymore.
So
like, okay.
I have I worked with Paul Chris, one of my big mentors. His brother was on that 49ers staff. Jeep Chris is his name, and longtime assistant. And he told a story that they did a vote when Smith got healthy. And they said they did, all right, coaches like, all right, who are we going with, Smith or Kaepernick? Unanimous for Kaepernick. And it was just like, because they all went like, yeah, this is what wins you the Super Bowl.
This is like, a thing.
No, and everyone loves Alex Smith, one of the great guys in football. And for that staff to just go, no, thanks, Alex. Like, no, we're going with a young guy. Like, that doesn't really happen. Most coaches are going to go, no, we're going with the safe older guy because he won't make mistakes. And they're like, no, take this. But that always stuck with me that the entire coaching staff was like, no, we're riding with Kaepernick. And it was working for a while until kind of everything came. Trent Baalke kind of stepped in there.
The Tom Sula year, it was a lot. And looking back on it, I think he spent an offseason working with Trent Dilfer, and he wasn't good. That was the year he stunk and then got hurt. I don't know if anybody's reputation has fallen off a cliff in the last couple of years, quite like Trent's has. What's going on at Alabama, Birmingham?
As soon as he said the Chiefs dynasty or the Patriots dynasty is over, and that lost to the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, and then they won the Super Bowl that year.
Hey man, hey, he wasn't alone.
Did you throw that out there too?
Oh, dude, they looked so bad that night,
so bad.
Like, and it was about time for the thing to be over. And it wasn't just that they looked bad. It was that Brady looked old. Like, it was all the things were happening as it typically goes. But it didn't go that way.
No, it didn't.
It didn't go that way at all. They won the Super Bowl. And then won the Super Bowl 2 years after that. And then won the Super Bowl 2 years after that. And then Tom Brady won another Super Bowl 2 years after that.
Yeah. It made us like, what were we expected? A 35-year-old would fall off? Like, that's like every human ever in sports. Like,
no, that was exactly it. Like, it was all because I was doing the show with Dan, and Dan was making the right point. He was like, this is what it looks like. It's a little bit here and there, and they can still dial it up from time to time. And by the way, that point came with Brady, and then suddenly he got good again.
Yeah. He got a new workout or something.
Look, man, all I'm saying is we had reasons. We're going to put it like that. Before we go to this first break, though, I want to ask you this, staying over in that conference. Where are you on Buffalo at this point? Because you talked about like the advanced stats and how they look for the Chargers defense. For Josh Allen, they look okay, but not great. The thing is, he's Josh Allen and capable of incredible things. I haven't been able to watch them enough, though, to really get a gauge on how well he's played this year.
He's been fantastic. Outside of even his worst game was against the Texans, where he went 9 for 30, I believe. Looking back at the game, it wasn't a Josh Allen issue. It was drops and just like him chucking it because they kind of got out game planned in that game, especially in the first half. No, this team, I mean, that was a statement win, obviously, this weekend against the Chiefs. But this is what they're top 3 in some way, shape, or form as an overall team. The Josh Allen is playing phenomenal. He's playing smart. It's really this spread bully is the term I've kind of come to, where they are kind of daring defenses to kind of keep sniffing up. They're going to pound the rock. The run game's good, legitimately good. They can get to they have a few different pitches as far as which runs they can get to. James Cook has improved a lot as far as kind of like taking what's in front of them. Ray Davis is a good back. And then what their passing game has kind of turned into is they got just a lot of kind of like safer, normal players. Like kind of like it's a lot of dirty work guys. I know they dropped in Amari Cooper, but as far as like when Keon Coleman's been out there, he's healthy. Khalil Shakir, Matt Collins, even Curtis Samuel a little bit, Dalton Kincaid, their tight end. All these guys are willing to kind of scrap it up as blockers. So they do that. Like it's a little nickel-dimey, dink and dunkish, but they're doing it because defenses are just terrified of Josh just beating them 40 yards down the field. So I think this has been a long-term kind of 2-3 year thing for Josh Allen. He has full control of that offense now. Like he's changing protections. He's doing all the sheriff stuff that other guys get a lot of credit for. And he's been doing it for a couple of years now, which I think is just really impressive. The accuracy, when to kind of push the ball, when to kind of gauge it back. He hasn't been turning the ball over that much until maybe the last couple of weeks. He's playing fantastic. It's like, to me, him and Lamar are the MVPs. Like in whatever argument it is, like I got to see it. I got to see this all play out. But those two have been playing, I think, shoulders above everybody else, head and shoulders above everybody else this year. And then I think I thought the defense would take a little drop this year, but I thought they'd be average. It's like a top 8-ish unit. Like however you look at, like they're doing they're basically running an old Lovie Smith defense from Chicago. Like, but that's what the Bills are running. But they just do it all out of nickel, a lot of cover 2. They're really smart. They all the young, fast linebackers are stepping up. They got great slot guy, Teron Johnson, Gregory Rousseau, Ed Oliver playing good up front. So dropping all these names because all these guys are stepping up. Like, and so they got like a real nice sound defense. They're the best adjusting team in the second half on both sides of the ball, like statistically, if you look from first half to second half. So they're just really well coached. I think they got good special teams as well. So it's a very complete team. Them and the Lions and the Chiefs, to me, are the top 3 teams. So, and I thought that was just a fantastic game to see 2 juggernauts going at it. But this is a really complete team. And Allen, to me, is MVP or co-MVP or 1 or 2 in the MVP race with Lamar.
I will say this, though, watching them a bit early, but not as much as others, he'll still try to give it back to you. Oh, like, that's going to be the interesting thing when this gets real is he still has the, I don't know what I was thinking either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, like it comes to, it sounds like it comes to the film and they're like, what were you thinking? He's like, does it look like I was thinking?
That's right. But then he scores on the last play to end it. Like, you know what I mean? Like but those used to be 10 a game. Now it's like 2 or 3. And it's like, all right, we can withstand this now. We don't need Josh to do something crazy every time now. So no, but I think he's just he's so complete. Like it's really fun to watch kind of just this wild horse kind of get tamed a little bit, even though if you still see a little bit out there.
The single most unlikely development story in the history of the NFL. I feel so bad because I'm not this type of person, but I feel it's always necessary to acknowledge it ended different than I thought it would, but I wasn't wrong, damn it. I wasn't wrong. When he wasn't good, I said he wasn't good. Now, my mistake was saying he'd never be good, but he wasn't good, and now he's incredible.
He wasn't good, man. I am a sucker for the big tradesy guys, and I was like, this guy can't hit the broadside of the barn, man. It was like he doesn't even know what he's doing. I tell you what, I think it was his second start as a rookie. They played the Vikings, and they were like 24-point underdogs or some shit. And he was hurdling guys. He scores a touchdown early, and this is that corny BS that sometimes I'm a believer in. He scores, and the rest of the team ran up and just was so stoked for him and just shaking him and all fired up. And, it's the NFL. Some of that, you see it sometimes, but sometimes, you see how Joe Mixon scores last night and no one celebrates with him at all from the Texans. I kind of was like, oh, they like him. All right. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. Like, those teammates really like him. All right. So they must be seeing some stuff. Like, it's the same stuff that's happening in Boston right now with Drake May, where the teammates, the receivers after the game are going like, hey, man, we believe in Drake. Don't you worry. So like you got to read in between the lines how these guys talk about each other. But that was always that little sign I looked. I was like, hey, all right, I'm not going to toss him out totally. But the fact that this happened is 0.001% chance that ever happened. And it did.
All right, we're going to talk about big quarterbacks with traits. We got one we will talk about right after this. The NBA is in full swing, which means you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite teams only on Prize Picks. You can make a Prize Picks lineup between the NFL and the NBA in as little as 60 seconds. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. But rather than hearing it from me, let's hear from our expert picker. Sean, how them picks going for you?
I guess I'm solely an expert picker because of the sheer volume of picks I make. But, the picking's been good. And with the NBA and NFL back, I can make picks between both leagues. And with the flex play, I can still cash out if my lineup isn't perfect. But make sure you stick around for the end of the show to hear my upcoming picks. And if you know me, you know I'm always picking more.
So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, Daily fantasy sports made easy. Life doesn't happen bi-weekly, so why should payday? The money you earn can be in your hands today with EarnIn. EarnIn is an app that gives you access to your pay as you work, up to $100 per day and up to $750 per pay period. So if you need a last-minute birthday present, new Detroit Lions gear, or even an upcoming event you want to go to, EarnIn is the best way to pay for those things. Just download the EarnIn app and verify your paycheck. Then access up to $100 a day as you work and leave an optional tip. Any money you access plus tips are automatically repaid from your next paycheck. Sean, tell the audience how easy it is to sign up.
Make EarnIn a part of your financial routine and join EarnIn's over 4 million customers. Download EarnIn today, spelled EARNIN, in the Google Play or Apple Store. When you download the EarnIn app, type in The Right Time with Bomani Jones under podcast. When you sign up, it'll really help the show. The Right Time with Bomani Jones under podcast. EarnIn is a financial tech company, not a bank. Cash outs are based on your available earnings. Standard cash outs take 1 to 2 business days with no mandatory fees. Option to expedite your transfer for a fee. Tips are voluntary and don't affect the service. See cash out user agreement for details. Services not available in all states.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Let's take a moment to say thank you to someone in your life. Whether it's your therapist, loved one, or a friend who really listens to you, it's always helpful to show some gratitude. Sean, is there anyone in your life you want to send some thanks to?
You know, for me, Bo, I'm always thankful for my friends and family who have been with me through all the good times and the bad. And, you know, while this month, especially with Thanksgiving coming up, is all about gratitude towards those people in our lives, there's another person we don't get to thank enough, and that's ourselves. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything in this crazy, crazy world. And that isn't easy. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to people in your life, including yourself.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/Bomani today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bomani. Finding the perfect gift can be tough, especially one that won't end up in the back of a closet. This holiday season, do what I'm doing and give the gift of planning unforgettable experiences with Viator. Sean, what kind of holiday travel plans do you have for this upcoming season?
Well, I'll be spending a weekend in Vegas, and I'm excited to use Viator for that trip. And you can book guided tours, activities, excursions, and more. Viator has over 300,000 travel experiences to choose from, so it's easy to find something that everyone on your list will enjoy. Plus, they have real traveler reviews, so you can pick the perfect experience with confidence.
And with free cancellation and 24/7 customer support, you can gift worry-free, knowing that plans can change, but great memories last forever. Whether it's a unique way to explore their own city or an adventure on their next trip, a Viator experience is a gift you won't regret. So skip the predictable presents and make this holiday one to remember with Viator. Download the Viator app now and use code Viator10 for 10% off your first booking in the app. Find travel experiences for you. Do more with Viator. All right, we're back with Nate Tice. You and I are both big Anthony Richardson guys of what the potential of what Anthony Richardson could be. It had been the trick-or-treat Olympics all season with him until they decided to bench him. People kept saying the same thing they said about him in college. The film was better than the numbers, right? I'm not a film guy. I would see the numbers, but then you would also see just incredible plays. They bench him for a couple weeks. He comes back in this last game. He looked good. Like, he was completing passes on things like slant routes and outs. It was something like 22 for 30, which was absolutely what we had not seen from him. You can't just, that just didn't happen because of 2 weeks, right?
No, he's been close to this. It's just now the thing with him, and I could tell he's a pleaser. Like he wants to do the right thing, like he's trying to do the right thing always. It was a lot of times I could tell he got really excited that he was about to do the right thing. And then that would unravel everything. Like he would make the right read and rather than throw with like anticipation, he would hitch one more time just to make sure that guy was open. Okay. And then I'm going to use my truly a generational arm and throw it and see it. And this is the same with Josh Allen in the league and other guys in the league, like truly this arm. and then throw it. And that would throw off timing sometimes and maybe create some pressure on him, create a tighter pocket on him. There's a lot of times too, like I thought the biggest thing outside of completion percentage, which is still something people need to unbreak their brain about. When you throw the ball really far, you're not going to complete as many passes. What it kind of saw was that he was having a lot of operation errors, and not like checks or kills or anything, but handing the ball off and fumbling. I'm about to fake this handoff, and I hit it on the running back's leg and fumble. I'm about to do this, and I trip. I like just those little kind of like baby deer on ice moments that he kind of had, because I think he was just so excited that he was about to do the right thing. All right, I'm about to do it. I'm about to do it. And he trembles like a toddler. Like, oh God, like the most athletic quarterback in the league looking like a toddler. And I think that maybe the reset actually did some things where it's just like, hey, we're here. We're close. All right, calm down. But shoot, the crosser he hit to A.D. Mitchell. And A.D. Mitchell got tackled at the one for whatever reason. A.D. Mitchell cut back, even though he should just ran to the pylon. It's like, this is exactly what you want to see. He throws with anticipation as pressure's coming. He throws with touch as he gets it up and over, because he's realizing, hey, this is right. I just have to get to the answer a little, like, not quicker, but calmer. And that's what you saw. It was a lot of that. And on top of the freaky stuff, he had a play where Isaiah Oliver was like hanging on his arm, trying to tackle him, and he just carried Isaiah Oliver. Like, have you seen that little gif of the video of the DJ taking like a kid's head and like DJing on the turntable? That's what Anthony Richardson did with Isaiah Oliver. Like, he DJ'd the turntable with the guy's head, and then like throws it away. So we got to see the freaky stuff, but it was like just seeing the calm stuff. But it's been there. It just hasn't been consistent. But again, he's the youngest. I think he's the youngest quarterback in the league. Like, this was to be expected. Like, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not going to be Justin Herbert's rookie year or Joe Burrow's second year where it looks amazing, all these things. So now we finally got to see where guys are catching the ball. Like, that was a big issue too. Guys were running the right routes. That was an issue cropping up. That's not on him. So it was good to see maybe everyone just took a reset, a deep breath. He took a deep breath and you got to see it, but it's been there. The glimpses have been there. Like you said, the film has been there. His understanding of playing football, he is not like a JV player. Like, it's way more polished than people think. It's just, I think he just gets excited to execute. And so now we got to see a little calmness there.
It is wild, though, that I saw the people after they put him on the bench and start talking about, well, all the guys that got to start and then got on the bench, none of them got it back, I was like, dude, if you think they quitting this right now to go to Joe Flacco, you are out of your ever-loving mind. First of all, they can't really afford to give up on it. But even if you could afford to give up on it, what are you, crazy? They're not giving up on this. Nobody was really even talking about benching him in any fervor going into that. It just happened, and then all of a sudden people tried to turn it into something, and I'm like, first of all, it seems very clear they are putting him on punishment for that thing that happened, right? And maybe it was about more than that thing, but it seemed pretty obvious that they were putting him on punishment because the team is a film place. They're not just looking at the numbers. They're going to go watch and then figure it out. But then also, number two, so what are they going to do, draft another quarterback? What, are you high? No, they're going to keep trotting out that creative player and cross their fingers and hope it all works out okay.
Just keep rolling the dice. Just like, hey, and then hopefully, oh, wow, oh, crap, look at this. We're just getting this every time now. Wow, man, we're rolling 6s and 8s every single time. And Steichen put his name on it. Like, that, Anthony Richardson was Shane Steichen's guy. Like, that, he was like, no, I want to mold this guy and coach him up, and it's going to take time. We know it's not going to happen overnight. All the initial messaging was like, right. And then when the benching happened and maybe it came from above, maybe it was an owner's decision going like, hey, this isn't Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. What Jim Irsay, like pointing at that, like, hey, it happened now. I want to go to the fireworks factory. But I think that's where they kind of, work through it. Maybe had discussions. They were projected to win 8.5 games this year. It's like, they're not winning the Super Bowl. I was optimistic about them, but I thought they would win 9, maybe 10 games and be like a frisky offense. Like, so I think they just had some, self-reflection of that. But you were just bringing about the benching stuff. And I know the collective memory only goes back like 4 years for a lot of people. My dad benched Culpepper for Todd Bauman for the exact same things. And this was after this. So this would have been 2002. So this was after Culpepper's big rookie year that got him on, or his second year start. It was his first year starting, his second year in the league. His big year, got on the Madden cover. Then the 2001 season happened where everything just fell apart. And then my dad becomes the head coach. His first year, he benched him for Todd Bauman. And it was the best thing that ever happened to Culpepper because he was like, oh, shoot, I got to study more. Oh, shoot, I got like this isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. Yada, yada. I know Culpepper's career didn't end up, but he was toe to toe with Peyton Manning to win MVP one year.
Look,
so, and this is the only comparison I have for Richardson is Culpepper.
We're going to be the ones because you and I both were on the Josh Allen Culpepper comparison and people not understanding, oh, no. That was a compliment. He just had one of his legs fall apart. But at the peak of Daunte Culpepper, and the thing that was bad for him was that it was the year Moss left, he didn't play well, and then he got hurt. So there was never a chance to really show like what it could be without Moss, except for a lot of that 04 season, there wasn't Moss, and he still played really well. But no, Culpepper was a problem. Yes, Culpepper was a problem, guys.
He's throwing to Nate Burleson and Jermaine Wiggins. Those were his guys for a half a year, and it was great. And they had like one of the best offenses in the league. It was awesome. Oh man, no, but Culpepper, man. Too on top of it, he had the completion percentage record. I know I just made fun of completion percentage in college. Like he was, so he was 6'4", 260, ran like a 4.6, maybe 4.5 and change. And then could also like throw accurately and also throw it 70 yards. He was like the first creative player guy. Like when him and McNabb came through the league and Vick, everybody was going like, whoa. Like
they changed the rules. They were like, hey, we have to. The only way the other kids are going to be able to compete with this is if we make it a personal foul to even breathe on you in the pocket anymore.
Right. It can't hit low. It can't do
any of that stuff. They were just like, yo, otherwise it's going to look like the NBA out here. Like that was really the fear.
Really? Yeah, too much. Hey, man, these guys really seem to be rolling. I don't know. We got to slow this down a little bit. Hey, get the ball in the air again.
No, but like people have forgotten, like even with McNabb, who I think is kind of a fringe Hall of Fame type, but not a Hall of Famer, but at his best, man, McNabb was a problem. McNabb was giving you a lot of what it is that you get with Josh Allen.
Yeah. And even how the offense is for the Chiefs this year, that's how those old Eagles offenses were. But then McNabb was running. So it was all this nickel and dime, quick games, some run stuff. And then on top of it, you had McNabb running every which way. I look back at some old McNabb stats because I was like, oh, man, his completion percentage wasn't as high as I remembered it being. I was looking at the stats. And I think he was like runner-up for MVP his second or third year or something.
Year two,
right? And then this is kind of how my brain works. I feel like I'm a similar company here. Then I go down the YouTube hole and I'm like, all right. Then I'm going to watch. And then I watch back. I'm like, look at this dude. He's like 230, just blowing by guys, stiff arming guys, throwing stuff off platform. And I was like, yeah, no wonder the league was just going like, what is going on? It's semi-pro when they first saw the first alley-oop.
Yes. And throwing the Jags, throwing the guys.
Yes. And also going against linebackers with neck rolls and
yes.
They all looked like Brian Cox, so it like that was a big difference too, is these guys right now are running against, the Bills have two linebackers at 225 that can roll. Back then they're going against these big old linebackers. So imagine Urlacher, and maybe Urlacher might not be the best type. He can roll. Maybe I'm trying to think some big stiff. Greg Biekert trying to chase Mike Vick. Like that on AstroTurf. Yeah, that wasn't happening back in that day.
Nah, man, I guess you probably were in the house when Michael Vick made them two dudes run into each other like it was a cartoon.
I'm on the highlight. So right when he walks up or runs up the sideline, I'm a ball boy. And you could just see me going like, oh no. Like I think I was like 13, 14. Yeah, you can see me though. And that game, bring up 2002 Vikings again. That game, though, they called an illegal formation. The Vikings my dad ran a throwback from Moss to Culpepper. And Culpepper ran over a guy to score the touchdown that should have won the game. My dad went over it before. So before the game, you meet with the refs, the head coaches do, and go like, hey, we're going to run this play. Like, is this going to be illegal? Hey, is this formation right? Like, you might have a special teams thing. And they showed the play to the refs. And they're like, yep, that's good. Do we have to declare the left tackle, Brian McKinney, as ineligible to make this work? Or as eligible to make this work? Nope, you're good. They run the play, flag it. My dad's like, you told us we didn't have to do it. And then and the refs kind of screwed up the play. But sorry, that's my memory from that game is we saw a Moss to Culpepper passing touchdown that officially never counted.
Man, look, the 2002 Michael Vick season was once a week. This is before we really had all this Sunday ticket and everything else. And for me, I didn't even have cable that year because I was living in California in graduate school and broke as I've ever been in my life. Yeah. And then every now and then you just kind of hear this thing is happening with Vick today. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Like they had a tie game against the Steelers where it was just like, I can't believe we're watching. This is a real person.
That was because he didn't start right away, right?
He didn't start as a rookie. He started game one.
He started like the tail end of his rookie year.
Yes.
And then it was and everyone was like, oh, okay, that's it. I want to say he played against the Packers or something. And I remember that. And
it was game one of the second season. They played the Packers game one, and they dropped like 2 touchdown passes that would have been the game winner. And it became full circle because then they came back in the playoffs of the Michael Vick game. That was really just one half of action that the numbers do not explain to you what was going on. It was like he was back in that game against Florida State where he was out there popping dudes' ACLs.
That's the game that made me fall in love with college football. Because
I had not thought about this. Somebody being your age and watching that game, right? Because I was in my junior year of college. It was my junior year of college, right?
Okay.
And I'll never forget because Virginia Tech had made the championship game that year. But keep it real, man. Wasn't nobody watching them. But Michael Vick had finished like number 3 in the Heisman. I swear, I hadn't seen anything from that team. All I knew is they had a defensive end. They weighed 220 pounds, and he had something like 20 sacks. I knew nothing else about what was going on with Virginia Tech. I knew Florida State, all right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
It was like we talked last week about David Robinson taking Navy to the Elite Eight.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like that, but what if David Robinson wasn't a center? David Robinson was a point guard. One man against all of Florida State. And for 3 quarters, he was beating them. Yes. And then he just like was human, so he couldn't do it anymore.
Yes. They pulled away late. I remember, I remember where I was at for that game. It's such a crazy thing. But because that was Peter Warwick, right?
Yes. That was the year he got caught with the situation at Dillard's.
Oh my God. Sorry. The memory just popped back.
What a time.
Sorry. Free shoes university, man.
Yes.
That was prime Florida State. That was when they were rolling, and that was the Sugar Bowl, if I remember correctly, right? Because I remember the AstroTurf and everything. It's such a good point you brought up. Because I remember Vic NFL highlights. It was fastest 2 minutes was how you would see him. You know, Chris Berman, Jackson doing the, and then you just say, oh, there, and then you see one Vic play, and then so you just kind of heard about him. And then the game you brought up when Vic split 2 guys, Greg Beekert was one of them, made 2 guys running at each other. I remember I still hadn't seen him. And then I maybe watched one game or something. And then I read a Sports Illustrated article about him before that game. And apparently he kept chapstick in his helmet. And so you take out chapstick and do it as he was about to before about to go on the field and stuff like that. And I just remember but that's how it used to be. It was like myth making with these guys. Right.
Because
then you finally get to see him live, and it's and then you don't think about him again. Maybe you see him in the playoffs, or maybe you see a Monday night game or a Sunday night game and you see him again. But it was that was kind of how it used to be. It was you hear about him and then you see him crop up. But for me, it was the full circle. It was I remember this guy taking Florida State to the limit. And that was crazy because no one could beat Florida State. That's where the quarterback from Varsity Blues was committed to. That's how good they were. That's who Joe Mauer was committed to.
I watched a YouTube cut up of just the Michael Vick plays of that game not that long ago. And it was every bit as exhilarating as I remembered it being. It was not a situation of nostalgia. Like the kids, and you're close to the kiddish, but you'll still feel me here.
I'm right at the cutoff.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of younger people have a mistaken thing that anytime we talk about something that they did not see, that we're amping it up just in the name of nostalgia. It's nah, dude, we were there. We've been saying that since the day it happened. If you were talking about something that I didn't think was hot when it happened, then that would be one thing. But I understand watching on video now, the joint in game 2 of the 91 NBA Finals, Jordan went up with the right hand and came down with the left hand. I understand it doesn't look like very much to you right now. It looked like sorcery when it happened in real life. That's not nostalgia. It really looked like sorcery. I don't know what to tell you. We were there. It was sorcery.
But then you see old Vic still doing it, when he was with the Eagles. And then you're just see, now imagine him at 20. Imagine him at 20 when he was still rolling. No, you're absolutely right. But the special players, it's not, I think everyone just when we say, oh, it was better then, or anything like that, we're just usually talking about the stars are saying that these are the guys. I'm not talking about quarterback 30, whoever finished 30th in quarterback rating that year. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, he was so good, he could hang today. But these like Randy Moss today would still be incredibly dominant because he was running a 4.2 and 6.4 could do that. But same with the Vic stuff. I mean, Vic didn't he set the record in like passer rating in college? Like he was like setting throwing records on top of doing and running out of I formation. Like that's the other things. These offenses didn't know what to do with these guys. It was either you were a Nebraska I quarterback or a pro style, which was out of I formation sometimes too. But those are like the two categories. You're this or you were this. And then now we got so much merger because these guys are so athletic. But that was why Vic was doing this stuff all out of like old school pro style formations that had no idea how to use them. And he was still like doing all this stuff.
When Chip Kelly got to Philadelphia, I wrote something that week because it was 2013. And I was just like, it's so wild. If Chip Kelly gets Michael Vick 10 years ago, maybe they changed the world. Now, of course, Vic was about the business of doing in his own career. That's his own discussion, right? But schematically, nobody was ready. Like Dan Reeves was as close to ready as anybody was because he'd had the time with Elway, who could also move to a degree. Yeah. But no. They tried to kind of like take the Shanahan stretch boot game, West Coast, and put Vic in it. But even then, that wasn't really what it was. But man, if this stuff they doing right now had been around then, baby.
Baby, we got Stu going. You bring it full circle, bringing back the Kaepernick 49ers. Remember when they played the Packers in the playoffs and they ran zone read, which is like so even at college at that point, it was pretty basic. But in the NFL, it was like, what is this? Like, what is going on? The Packers had no idea what they're doing against it. And it was just, there's Kaepernick running for 100 and something yards, just scot-free. But again, now imagine Vic doing that. It was like, like Kaepernick was amazing at it, but imagine Vic getting those juicy looks off of like zone reads and stuff like that. Like imagine if Rich Rodriguez was coaching him.
If I'm not mistaken, that game with Kaepernick, he had 180 something yards rushing before contact.
Yeah, it was
the Packers. Funny. There's a lot of people that could have said, during that time when he wasn't even that good of a player, Not a single one of them was in no Green Bay, Wisconsin. No, sir.
That's all they still remember that game, man. Like,
but he did it to him like 2 or 3 times.
Yes,
he did it to him twice in the playoffs. It was the one game in the playoffs in San Francisco. Then they played him week 1 the next year, and he destroyed him again. And then he walked him down in like the last 2 minutes of a wild card game.
And it was Dom Capers was the defensive coordinator. And then, that's right. Like that's because he was probably like, what? I don't know. I don't remember this from 1994, guys. I didn't have to defend this. Look at Dom Capers. Yeah, I didn't have David Carr doing this.
No.
I was in Houston.
If a zone blitz is not the solution.
Yeah.
What am I? He was really good at that zone blitzing. He really was.
Yeah. And then that's the thing is you get figured out.
Yes.
You got to adapt.
All right. Last thing before we get out of here, it is your turn to tell me something wonderful about my Detroit Lions.
Oh, geez. Where to start? I love watching them. They're the best team right now. I'll start with some of the defensive young guys that are just stepping up. Aleem McNeil, I know he got paid, so this isn't really a young guy anymore, but he's like should be getting some all pro talk. And I feel like maybe second team all pro D tackle should maybe, people should start propping him up a little bit because Aiden Hutchinson goes out and it's like, you
they held together.
You haven't felt it at all because he's bringing interior pressure. It's him and other guys, don't get me wrong. But really what's cool about the Lions is they have a style on defense. We can talk about the offense. I think the offense is obvious. Run game, offensive line, Goff is efficient. Ben Johnson's incredible. But what they're doing on defense is, one of the most improved units. I know DVOA has them really high because of just who they face. So it's really adjusted wise. But just they have their own way of going about it. They invested in all these corners, Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, all these guys that are feisty, and they take it to offenses. They went against Justin Jefferson. Yeah, we're in man coverage. Yeah, we're not rolling coverage and giving you cover 2 help. We're going to just take it to you. If we get some illegal contacts, whatever. This is how we play, What's a cool thing about the Lions, though, I don't know if it's cool. I think it's cool. It's unique. Is they will match base defense, which is, four defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, no matter what the offense is in. Even if the offense trots out 3 receivers, they go, we're going to put big boys out there. And because they just say, you're not running on us. And then when you want to throw, we're just going to mug you up with man coverage. And it works. It must be so frustrating for offenses because they're like, all right, this is what they're doing, guys. The Lions are so well coached and they're playing so fast that they're just still beating it. Like they're just still overwhelming offenses. It helps when your offense scores pretty much every time they touch the ball. Don't get me wrong. You could play this aggressively, but this is a complete team. This isn't just a quote unquote frisky defense. This is just a good defense with probably the best offense or a top 3 offense with maybe the best special teams in the NFL too. The Lions are cooking, man. And I just love when a defense has a style that's not just, oh, we run a little bit of everything. It's like, no, we run quarters on first and second down. We run man on third and fourth down. You guys got to beat us. Good luck. I love that it just matches them so perfectly. We have big guys on all downs, and then our corners, Brian Branch is playing amazing too. I got to give him a shout out as well. And he's playing as a deep safety this year. We're just going to get a bunch of feisty DBs and take it to receivers, and then you have to beat us. You have to execute us for 60 plays. I love it. I love that the whole team just has this certain personality to it on both sides of the ball.
Oh, it's belt to ass, start to finish. Like everybody understands that's the assignment is belt to ass. That's all it is.
We are stomping you. And then I don't care if you fight back. We're going to come at you again. Like that's what's so cool. I love when a defense gets punched in the face. This is why Spags is so cool too with the Chiefs. They get punched in the face and they get caught. They don't cower away. They're like, nope, we're going to bring it back. Right? We're ball up top. Let's roll it out again. Like, hey, let's go again. That's awesome. This is what you need to do to win in the playoffs because it's matchups and they can take it to any type of matchup and they have the physicality and speed. Yeah, man, it's a pretty cool team. It's pretty cool. Like we say Dan Campbell and we think of the offensive line and the run game. It's like, no, the defense plays like a Dan Campbell defense or an Aaron Glenn defense, to be honest. Yeah. Like, I mean, it matches his personality too.
Yeah, well, Dan Campbell is very similar to Mike Ditka in the sense that he seems like a defense guy, but he's actually an offense guy.
Right.
Like, and in fact, granted, he and Mike Ditka were completely different kind of players. Mike Ditka was a pass catching tight end, and Dan Campbell is hand in the dirt. Got
capital Y tight end.
Yes, he got the cowboy collar, he got the roll, he got the big old shoulder pads, yes. And everything else. But I love it's the anti-door. Every one of those players that people said they took too early, they took right on time. Jack Campbell, Branch, Jahmyr Gibbs. Yep. Nope. They got him right on time.
Right. The guy, the draft expert for The Athletic, Dane Brugler, who I used to work with, when he said after that draft happened, everyone was like going nuts about it and like, oh my God, positional value, all this stuff. He's like, if you close your eyes and said with their first 4 picks, they got Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jack Campbell, but you don't know what spots they're at. Wouldn't you be fine with it? And everyone's like, yeah. And he goes, so why are we mad? Like, yeah, they maybe took them in different spots. And guess what? All of them are working out. Even Jack Campbell is one of the most improved players this year. Like he's legit against the run. He's so much better against the pass. So everyone's talking about they struggle to find linebackers and they took a guy that could play all 3 downs and could run. Like, I don't know. I even in the moment, I was like, I don't know, man, there's not a lot of these guys out there. Might as well take a chance on them. So, I mean, they just keep hitting on guys. Lee McNeil was a 3rd rounder. Right. I mean, their day 2 picks and day 3 picks have just been all contributors. Like it's just such a cool story to see continuing from day 1 with Campbell, people laughing at the kneecap stuff. And then I was a day 1 believer in them, but just watching that first year, even though they were getting their butts kicked and they were just kept competing, you could see them adding layers to the offense every year. That's what's cool about returning the same personnel every year. All that kind of just all these things that they add to it. Yeah, I love watching them.
Well, I just need, the Vikings and the Packers keep playing well. They holding up my next purchase, my Division Championship T-shirt. As soon as they put them on the website, I'm gonna get mine.
Find that out.
Oh yeah, I don't have it in here with me right now, but the Honolulu blue joint I got the other day is clean. It's clean. It's a nice color.
The uniform tweaks they had this year. Detroit's feeling themselves, man. Like I was at that draft. And downtown Detroit was a great time that entire week. I made sure to stay downtown as opposed to out in the outskirts. And it was Like everybody in Detroit, every Uber driver I had was just like, "You having a good time? It's good, right? Hey, it's good. Hey, you need anything?" Like they're like, "It's like, you're my car. You know, go pick me up something. Like I could get you something." But like it was just like they could tell they're taking a lot of pride in hosting something, and it's kind of cool again to kind of just see it kind of keep going on. Like I don't know.
Now they're gonna get to host the NFC Championship game and maybe even a parade. Can't wait over here. I'll be in. I'm so in. I am all the way in, boy. I'm with day one. All the way
in New Orleans.
Oh, I think we're pretty sure I'll be in New Orleans. Like if they in New Orleans, oh man, we go look here. It's a possibility. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but it's a possibility that we could have Baltimore and Detroit in New Orleans, boy. Whoo, boy. Shout out to the white folks. It's going to be different than anything you've ever seen. Or don't let the Commandos mess around and get in it. Whoo, boy.
Oh man. Oh, can you imagine? But can you imagine Detroit fans? Oh my God. Oh,
I mean, you saw them in Vegas. They were happy enough, and they wasn't even there.
Right. No, but that's no. It's a good when you get these beaten down fan bases, man. A couple of years ago, we were doing videos on The Athletic, and some of the stuff was team by team. Like, okay, I'll do a video breaking down the Chiefs. Something okay. The two teams that I'd get the most clicks were Jaguars fans, probably because no one talks about them, and then Lions fans. And then the Lions fans though were just like, we're getting noticed again. Like no one's, people aren't laughing at us. Like, isn't Penei Sewell really cool? Like they were just so excited to be like, hey, be a part of this. But it's just kind of, again, like I say, it's not like they're not like the little brother team that everyone is happy for. It's like, no, they're a freaking juggernaut. And I want to see his fans celebrate it a little bit because they've been pretty fun so far.
There we go. That's Nate Tice. Check out him covering the NFL for Yahoo Sports. My man, I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Ladies, hey, man, I appreciate you, dog. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this here 3 days a week. Sean, you handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.